Hello and welcome guys, and welcome to this session of the MCQs of Law and Ethics. And yes, exams are fast approaching, so I think you guys need to gear up now. Please revise the MCQs as much as you can and take help of all the videos which are given by us and my co-faculties on this channel on all the subjects of CMA Foundation. So yes, let's start today's session of the MCQs. In the last session, we had done the questions till question number 40, and today we are going to start question number 41. So the 41 question is, dash is a form of combination of buyers to prevent competition among themselves at an auction sale. So if an auction sale is there and buyers form a conglomerate, buyers join hand to not to escalate price beyond a particular level, what is that agreement known as? Guys, in technical term, that agreement is known as the knockout agreement. No, it's not monopoly, it's not oligopoly, it's not the puffing agreement. The correct answer is the knockout agreement. And in the section of auction sales, we had studied about this agreement which is known as knockout agreement, and what are the ramifications of these agreements, that also we had studied in depth. Yes sir. Question number 42. A, while filling up the insurance application form, states his age as 25, believing it to be true. His actual age was 27. So Mr. A filled a application form, insurance application form, and filled his age as 25, believing it to be true. However, his actual age was 27. The Life Insurance Corporation issued a policy in his favor, charging a lower premium than what it should have charged if the actual age had been given. This is a case of, now this false statement is a case of what? A, fraud, B, misrepresentation, C, undue influence, D, mistake of fact. Guys, this case is a case of misrepresentation. You have represented a fact which is incorrect, and you cannot take a levy of this fact that, okay, I didn't know my age. No one can not know your age. So this is not a mistake. It is treated as misrepresentation in the eyes of law. So it will be carried out, it will be charged to you under section of misrepresentation. Okay sir. In a promissory note, the amount of money payable must be certain, may be certain or uncertain, is usually uncertain, none of the above. Guys, the correct answer is, in a promissory note, the amount should be certain. There cannot be a variability in the promissory note, because promissory note is an instrument which guarantees debt of a particular person against another person. So the amount should be certain and not uncertain. Okay sir. R entered into a contract with L to marry her on a fixed date. However, before the marriage date, R went mad. With reference to Indian Contract Act, which is the valid response? L can't marry till R dies. The executors of R can enforce the contract against L. The contract becomes void. D, all the statements are correct. So guys, the correct answer is that the contract becomes void. If you enter into a contract which is in the nature of an executory contract, and before the execution of that contract, either of the parties go mad or unsound mind or dies or anything which loses, which deprives that party of its validity or its capability of entering into a contract, then guys, that contract becomes void. So this contract also becomes void. Okay sir. Question number 45. The undertaking contained in promissory note to pay a certain sum of money is. So you have taken an undertaking that you will pay so and so money to the holder of the promissory note. What is that undertaking? Is it conditional undertaking? Is it unconditional undertaking? It may be conditional or unconditional, none of the above. Guys, the right answer is that this undertaking should be unconditional. There should not be any conditions attached to this particular payment of a particular sum, and this undertaking should be unconditional. There should be no strings attached, no qualifications attached, no conditions attached to this particular aspect. Okay sir. Question number 46. A makes a contract with B to buy his house for 50,000. If he is able to secure to bank loan for that amount, the contract is A, void for vagueness, B, wagering contract, C, contingent contract, D, voidable contract. Guys, the right answer is void for vagueness. This contract is vague and hence it is void. Sir, why can't it be contingent contract? Because guys, there is no future uncertain event which is attached to this particular contract. No, taking of loan is not uncertain. If you have the requisite collaterals with you, if you have the requisite documentation with you, then there's no doubt that you will get the loan. Or if you do not have those documents, if you do not have any collateral security, if your credit worthiness is not appropriate, then you will not get it. So there's nothing uncertain about it. So this contract is not a contingent contract. The answer is that this contract is void for vagueness. Since this contract is vague, therefore this contract is void. Okay, sir. So question number 47. Ordinary damages will be awarded in cases where. So which are those cases where ordinary damages will be awarded? Loss naturally flows from the breach of contract. Loss is remotely connected with the breach of contract. Loss is unusual and arises out of special circumstances peculiar. None of the above. Guys, the correct answer is the loss naturally flows from the breach of contract. So ordinary damages are paid in cases where the loss is the loss has been occurred to the party, aggrieved party, in a natural way. Breach of contract is there and the loss has naturally occurred. In those situations, the ordinary damages are being paid. 48. Which of the following statement is true in connection with quasi contract? So in case of quasi contract, quasi contract means a contract which is like contract. It is not exactly contract, but so it doesn't contain the essential elements of a valid contract, but law says that yes, it is a contract. Since law permits it to be a contract, we call it as a quasi contract. Okay, sir. So which of the following statement is true in connection with a quasi contract? Number 1, it is imposed by law. Yes, sir, it is imposed by law. B, a quasi contract is a revoking contract. No. Damages cannot be claimed for breach of quasi contract. No. It arises out of an agreement. No. So the answer is it is imposed by law. The correct answer is that quasi contract is imposed by law. Law requires you to treat this kind of a contract as a contract despite of the fact that essential elements of a contract are not there, and therefore this quasi contract is a valid contract which is imposed by law. 49. A check is always payable on A, date mentioned therein, B, demand, C, 3 days after presentation, D, within 24 days of the presentation. Answer is demand. Check is always paid on demand. Whenever the other party who's holder of the check demands for it through its banker, then the check will be paid by the party who has drawn the check. So the check is always payable on demand. Okay, sir. Question number 50. Each party to a contract is bound to perform his part of the obligation. Yes, sir. Each party to a contract is bound to perform his part of the obligation. After the parties have made due performance, the contract comes to an end. In such a case, contract is said to be discharged by how is this contract discharged? By breach, by impossibility of performance, by agreement and novation, or by performance of contract? So the correct answer is, since both the parties have performed their respective contract, this particular contract has been concluded or completed by performance of the contract. Question number 51. Right in rem implies. So guys, do you remember two kind of rights which we had studied? Right in personam and right in rem. So what is right in rem? The right available against the whole world. Yes, this is the correct answer. Without even seeing the next parts, I have concluded a right available against a particular individual. Guys, this one is right in personam, personal individual. Then it is known as right in personam. Right available against government? No, none of the above. No. So the correct answer is A. The right available against the whole world is known as right in rem. 52. Goods as defined in the Sales of Goods Act will include. So what is the inclusion of goods? A. Rare coins, goodwill, money. No, sir. Growing crops agreed to be severed before sale. Yes, sir. This is definitely a contract. Then a sale. Then goodwill, copyright, patent, no. Both B and C, no. The answer is growing crops agree to be severed. Severed means cut before the sale. This is a type of good as defined under the Sales of Goods Act. 53. Communication of acceptance is not necessary. So under what situation is the communication of acceptance not necessary? By performance of condition of the offer by the offeree, by acceptance of consideration by the offeree, by acceptance of benefit or service by the offeree, or all of the above. Guys, the correct answer is all of the above. We accept the contract by A, performance of the condition specified in the offer. If we have done the condition, we have complied with the condition done in the offer, then guys we have automatically accepted to the offer. So if the conditions mentioned in the order are fulfilled or are undertaken by the offeree, then automatically we say that offeree has accepted the offer. Or if by consideration, by acceptance of consideration by the offeree has accepted the consideration, then also we say that the offer has been accepted. And by the benefit, by acceptance of the benefit or service by the offeree, if the service has been agreed to be given to the offeree and if offeree did not refuse to the service and accepted it wholeheartedly, then we'll say that acceptance is not necessary. Merchantable quality of goods means, what do you mean by the merchantable quality of the goods? That goods are commercially, now please understand the word commercially, saleable. Means in market it is being capable of selling and purchasing. They are fit for purpose for which they are generally used. So fit for purpose is of course essential character of merchantability. Both A and B, quality should be of high standard. The correct answer is both A and B. So both A and B conditions are demonstrative of a transaction or a quality of goods being merchantable. Next, according to Indian Contract Act, a promise is, what do you mean by a promise according to Indian Contract Act? A communication of intention to do something. Number 2, a proposal which has been accepted. Number 3, a gentleman's word to do something. Number 4, a statement on oath. So the correct answer is a proposal which has been accepted is known as promise. So promise contains two things, offer and acceptance. If offer is accepted, then it will be translated to promise. 56. Contracts contingent upon non-happening of a future uncertain event becomes void when such event happens, doesn't happen, the event becomes impossible. D, none of the above. So guys, we have been given 4 options. Of course, the option which is valid is happens. So a agreement is void if a thing doesn't happen. So naturally, so a contract is contingent upon a non-happening of a thing. So the contract is valid if that thing doesn't happen, but if that thing happens, then guys the contract become void. 57. A telephonic acceptance is complete when the offer is. When is a telephonic conversation accepted? Spoken into the telephone, heard but not understood by the offerer, heard and understood by the offerer. D, received, heard, understood by some other person in the offerer's house. So guys, under which of the above conditions would a telephonic acceptance be completed? When will we say that telephone acceptance is completed? Guys, the right answer is that the acceptance should be heard and understood. Understood also important word, guys. It is heard and understood by the offerer, the person who's offering the goods or services. It is understood by them. Then we say that telephonic conversation is accepted. Question number 58. If a minor draws, endorses, delivers, or negotiates an instrument, such instrument binds all the party to the instrument, including the minor, only minor and not other parties to the instrument, all parties to the instrument except the minor, none of the above. Guys, the answer is all parties to the instrument except the minor. So no agreement in this world can bind the minor to do something, but Minor can bind any person to do any act which is committed by that person in an agreement. This is the advantage which has been given to a minor. So an agreement with a minor is always a very skeptical agreement, and an agreement which should be done with a very careful, due diligent bent of mind. Okay, sir. Question number 59. What can a catalog of books listing price of each book and specifying the place where listed book are available be termed as? Now what can this thing be termed as? We have a catalog of the books. What will that be termed as? An offer, an obligation to sell the book, an invitation to offer, or a promise to make available the books at the listed price? Guys, the right answer is an invitation to offer. It is an invitation to offer. The prospective buyer can make an offer to the seller that I want to purchase this book, but it cannot bind the seller to sell the book at that particular catalog rate. So this is an invitation to offer. Question number 60. Which of the statement is incorrect in connection with duties of seller and buyer? So which of the statement is incorrect? You need to tell the incorrect statement. It is duty of the seller to deliver the goods. It is duty of the buyer to accept and pay for them. It is not the duty of the seller to deliver the goods. Or it is the duty of the buyer to take delivery of the goods. So guys, the incorrect statement out of these statement in connection of duties and buyers is, it is not the duty of the seller to deliver the goods. Guys, seller is definitely under an obligation to deliver the goods if the agreement states so. So it is a duty of the seller to deliver the goods if the agreement states so. So this is an incorrect statement, that it is not the duty of the seller to deliver the goods. Question number 61. The inadequacy of consideration may be taken into account by the court. So if the consideration is inadequate, so the general principle is that even if consideration is inadequate, it doesn't turn the contract to be void. It doesn't hamper the contract. The contract remains as it is, even if the the consideration is inadequate. This is the generic principle which we have studied. But the inadequacy of consideration may be taken into account by the court. Court can consider this inadequacy to consideration in what circumstances, in which situations, guys? In determining the question whether the consent of the promiser was freely given. So sometimes due to coercion, due to undue influence, the assent of the promiser could have been given in a fraudulent manner, in a negative manner, in a not appropriate manner. That can be evident from the fact that a thing which is worth 50 lakhs is being sold at 10 lakhs. So if the court feels that there is some amount of undue influence which has been emphasized on the promiser or the person who is receiving the consideration, then guys, this factor is very relevant from a Contract Act standpoint. Otherwise, if there is no foul play in the entire scheme of things, then it's okay, then it's not a problem at all. Always, in all cases, when the parties complain, when the promiser has not performed his promise. So the correct answer is A, in determining the question whether the consent of the promiser was freely given. Okay, sir. Question number 62. A finder of good can sell the goods if... Okay, so now the question of finder of goods. So if you found someone's goods lying in the street or anywhere, then finder of the goods can sell the goods. You have right to sell the goods in what circumstances? The goods are ascertained, the goods are unascertained, the goods are valuable, the goods are perishable. Yes, guys. So D gives you the most authentic and the most strongest power to sell someone else's goods. If those goods are perishable, which will demolish or which will be rendered not fit for use if time lapses, then guys, you have the ultimate authority to sell off those goods. So perishability of the goods gives you authority to sell off the goods. Okay, sir. Where consideration is illegal, so where your consideration which you are giving is illegal or physically impossible, uncertain or ambiguous, it shall not be A, transferable by law, B, unenforceable by law, C, enforceable by law, D, none of the above. So guys, when your consideration is illegal, that is the consideration which you are given, which you have given is not permitted as per the law. So for example, you are giving a consideration that, okay, sell me your land and I will kill your uncle whom you hate. So this is an illegal consideration. So in case where the consideration is illegal or performance is physically impossible, you have committed to do something which is impossible, then uncertain or ambiguous, it shall not be. So the consideration in this case shall not be A, transferable by law, B, unenforceable, C, enforceable by law, D, none of the above. The answer is enforceable by law. Illegal consideration cannot be enforced under law. Law cannot permit you to go ahead with the illegal consideration. No, that is not permissible. So the correct answer is unenforceable by law. Illegal consideration is not enforceable by law. Question number 64. There are modes of delivery. So how many modes of delivery are there? You need to tell how many modes of delivery are there. A3, B2, C4, D5. Guys, the correct answer is 3. There are 3 modes of delivery. Number 1, actual delivery, which is the physical delivery. Number 2, symbolic delivery. Number 3, constructive delivery. These are the 3 kinds of delivery which are permissible under the Contract Act. There is no other delivery which is permissible under the Indian Contract Act. Yes, sir, we remember. Question number 65. The principle of estoppel cannot be applied against a minor. Guys, estoppel means refrain from doing something. You are stopping someone from doing something. So principle of estoppel cannot be enforced against the minor since he has no sound mind. B, he has no privilege to cheat persons making any representation. C, he may be induced by dishonest traders to declare in writing that he is a major at the time of entering into the contract. D, he has not attained the age of maturity. The correct answer is, guys, D, he has not attained the age of maturity. So the reason why we do not enforce any contract on a minor is that he is not, according to law, matured enough to take sound decisions. So the answer is D, he has not attained the age of maturity. Okay, sir. Next, 66. The term a check in the electronic form is defined in Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. So there's a term which is defined in the Negotiable Instrument Act, which is check in electronic form. Which section is it defined under, guys? Section 6A, Section 6(1)(a), explanation 1A of Section 6. Section 6A. Guys, the right answer is explanation 1A of Section 6. And yes, I have told you before also that you need not remember all the sections of the entire Contract Act, entire Sales of Goods Act strongly and very stiffly, but you should remember the basic ones. I mean, I know this is not the basic one, so you would remember it just because it is appearing in the MCQs. That's why you will remember it. I understand that, but otherwise also you need not remember the entire scheme of sections which are there in these laws, but the basics ones you should remember. Okay, sir. Question number 67. Lending money to a borrower at high rate of interest when the money market is tight renders the agreement of loan void, valid, voidable, illegal. Guys, the answer is valid. We are not bothered whether your interest rate is adequate or inadequate. We are not bothered whether your consideration is adequate or inadequate. It is an agreement between two parties. It can be on abstract terms also. It can be on market terms also. So market may speak contrary to what contract is speaking in terms of consideration. We are perfectly okay with it. If both the parties agree on that interest rate, we have no problem with it. So as per the Contract Act, it is a valid contract. Whereby the contract, a promisor is to perform his promise without application by the promise and no time for performance is specified, the engagement must be performed within a reasonable time. Yes, guys, we have studied this. So if agreement is silent about when would this agreement be executed, then we will take a reasonable time to execute this agreement. The question, what is a reasonable time, is in each peculiar case is a question of fact or Number 2, a question of law, a question of general custom, all of the above. So guys, it is all of the above. Because you would consider many situations, many circumstances surrounding this word called reasonable time. All the situations which are surrounding this word called reasonable times may be question of fact, it may be question of law, it may be general custom, it may be anything which is relevant to that particular situation. It is circumstantial. So whatever circumstance demand, whatever situation demands, your reasonability can vary from situation to situation. So the correct answer is D, all of the above. Yes, sir. Question number 69. Unlawful agreements. So agreements which are not as per law, unlawful agreements comprise, so they comprise of what? Illegal agreements, immoral agreements, agreements opposed to public policy, all the agreements mentioned above. Guys, all the agreements mentioned above. So even illegal is unlawful, immoral is unlawful, opposed to public policy is unlawful. So all of the above are unlawful agreements. Question number 70. In an auction sale, the property shall be sold to be lowest bidder, highest bidder, any bidder, all bidders. So whom should the property be sold? Sir, it's very obvious. Highest bidder. This is a principle which auction is based on. Whosoever bids the highest, he gets the property, he gets the ownership rights on that particular property. So highest bidder is the answer. Question number 71. A and B agree that A shall pay ₹1,000 for which B shall afterwards deliver to either rice or smuggled opium. In this case, the first agreement is void and the second is voidable. You have to judge the correct answer, guys. Number 2, the first is voidable and the second is void. Number 3, the first is valid and the second is void. Number 4, the first is void and second is valid. So guys, if you deliver rice, then it's okay. But if you deliver opium, then it's not okay. So the first agreement is valid, rice is valid, opium is not valid. So the correct answer is C. First is valid, second is void. So the correct answer is C. Yes, sir, we got the logic also. When an instrument is drawn conditionally or for a special purpose as a collateral security and not for the purpose of transferring the property therein, it is called an escrowing instrument, inchoate instrument, ambiguous instrument, none of the above. Guys, such an instrument is known as the escrow instrument. Escrow instrument is the instrument which is actually formed as a collateral security and not for the purpose of transferring the property. You are just offering the property as a collateral, as a security that you will repay the loan amount. That is known as a collateral security, and this agreement is known as, this instrument is known as the escrow instrument. Yes, sir. 73. A purchases B's business for selling neckties in Delhi. So A purchases B's business of selling neckties in Delhi. A can restrain B from A doing the business of selling neckties again in his life, doing any business in Delhi, doing business of selling neckties in Delhi for a limited period, or none of the above. Guys, the correct answer is C, that A can restrict B only for from selling the neckties for a limited period of time. It cannot restrict B from selling the doing the business of selling neckties for eternity. Yes, sir. Question number 74. In case of contractual obligations where the promisor dies before performance. So guys, there is a contractual obligation. We have a contract where the promisor dies before performance. So the person who had to comply with the promise, he dies before the performance of the contract. Okay, sir. In such a situation, the legal representative of the promisor must perform the promise irrespective of the promise. B. Legal representative of the promisor must perform the promise provided it is not one dependent on the personal qualification of the promisor. C. The legal representative need not perform the promise. D. Legal representative is not liable to pay damages for non-performance of the promise. So guys, the right answer is B. Only if the promise is not bind to the personal qualification, the personal talent, the person who has died, it doesn't depend upon that particular person, only then the promise is to be fulfilled by the legal representatives or the partner of that particular promiser. Otherwise, the promise should not be fulfilled, it cannot be fulfilled. Okay, sir. Question number 75. A borrows from B rupees 500. So A has borrowed some sum from B, rupees 500, to bet with C. So A had to bet this money with C. Can B recover the amount if his loan So can B recover the amount of his loan? Can B recover the amount from A of his loan? Yes, the agreement between them is a collateral to a wagering agreement and hence enforceable. Guys, this is absolutely wrong. Any agreement which is collateral to a wagering agreement is not enforceable. Then no agreement is opposed to public policy. No, the agreement is voidable agreement and can be avoided by A. Or D. No, the agreement falls under section 23 and hence is illegal. The correct answer is yes, sir. This agreement falls under section 23 and this agreement is an illegal agreement. So an agreement to bet in itself is an illegal agreement because wagering contract, any kind of wagering contract is illegal in entire India except for 2 states. Therefore, this agreement is not valid. It is an illegal agreement. Answer is D. Okay, sir. 76. Asim unlawfully detains Anil to obtain his vacant flat at Safdarjung enclave valuing 50 lakh at 40 lakhs. So what happens is Asim kidnaps Anil because he wants to purchase Anil's flat which is worth rupees 50 lakhs at rupees 40 lakhs. This is a case of, you need to tell what is this case for. Undue influence, coercion, fraud, by force. Guys, there is nothing called by force in Contract Act. So the case is of coercion. Answer is B. It is coercion, whereby force you are trying to achieve something which you are not able to achieve in the normal course. 77. A contract which ceases to be enforceable by law becomes a voidable contract, a void agreement, a void contract, a valid contract. Guys, the answer is a void contract. An agreement which is not enforceable by law or it subsequently becomes non-enforceable by law, those contracts becomes void contracts. 78. Mr. A promises to Mr. B without any intention of performing it. Okay, so Mr. B gives some promise to Mr. B. Mr. A gives some promise to Mr. B without any intention. So he is not willing to honor that promise. This is a case of cheating, fraud, valid case, none of the above. Guys, this is a case of fraud. There is nothing called cheating in legal language in the Contract Act. So the case is of fraud. Answer is B, fraud. 79. An advertisement for sale of goods by auction. This is a case of A, general offer, B, an offer to hold such goods, C, an invitation to offer, D, an implied offer. So guys, if you get an advertisement for sale of goods by auction, then what is this offer? Guys, this offer is an invitation to offer. Part C, it is an invitation to offer. Yes, sir. Question number 80. An offer comes to an end by revocation, acceptance, communication, none of the above. The answer is A, revocation. If you revoke the contract, then the contract comes to an end, because by acceptance the contract is actually becomes enforceable and you have to execute it. By communication, there is nothing called communication in closure of the contract, so the correct answer is revocation. Okay, so that's all for this particular session of our MCQs, and we'll be meeting in our next session of MCQs very, very soon. Till that time, all the very best and happy studying.